happy
So
birthday.
this is going to be my birthday for bringing on the line in the class.
In honor.
And so I'll read you the Hayom Yom for tonight, which is Zayin Adar. It is imperative that every Jew know that he is an emissary of the Master of all, charged with the mission, wherever he may be, of bringing into reality Hashem's will and intention in creating the universe, namely to illuminate the world with the light of Torah and Avodah. This is done through performing practical mitzvot and implanting in oneself fine character traits. Okay.
Your birthday is Zion Adar.
My birthday is Zayin Adar. It's very true, and it's a very auspicious day, so I'm very honored to have that as my birthday.
So
Yes.
tonight, or maybe it's tomorrow. Rav Pinson's son has a chuppah.
Rav Pinson's son has his chuppah tomorrow.
Zion Adar, is that tonight? What's
Yeah,
today?
it's tonight and tomorrow.
Tuesday,
So,
actually.
yeah. So if seeing that Scarlett is listening to this, we're going to read one more Hayom Yom, and she might even enjoy it.
Oh, wow.
It said that the Alter Rebbe once called a young student of the Maggid and said to him, I have the mitzvah to teach my children, and you have the mitzvah of sustaining and providing for your family, so let's make an exchange. I'll give you what you need to fulfill your mitzvah, and you will teach my son, who became the Mittler Rebbe. Now he said, this is what I want you to teach them. The first thing to teach are the letters Aleph, Base, etc. And what is an Aleph? An Aleph is a dot above and a dot below and a line in between. This is an Aleph. A child must know that the Aleph of Torah is a Yud above and a Yud below.
Listen to the rest.
And a line of faith joins them. And another version is a Yud above, this is the neshama, a Yid below, this is the body, and a line of fearing Hashem, Yirat Shamayim, in the center. So if you can teach that to Scarlett, then she's already doing
knowing
well.
the song as you heard.
A dot above, a dot below, a Yud above, a Yud below, and in the middle, a line of Yirat Shamayim in between.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So now we're going to go into Tanya. And it might seem like, as Susan said, you miss a few weeks and it seems like we're still talking about the same thing, but it's not exactly the same thing. But what we're going to look at tonight is we're going to look at what does it mean to be a complete tzaddik? What does it mean to be a tzaddik v'tov lo and a tzaddik v'ra lo? And what does it mean to overcome the negativity within ourselves or the temptation to indulge oneself into things one's not supposed to? So we'll just read the introduction because just to bring us all up to speed.
Chapter 10.
So we're in chapter 10. After elaborating in the previous chapter on the ongoing battle between the divine and animal soul over mastery of a Jew's body, the Alter Rebbe now proceeds to explain that one who vanquishes his animal soul and transforms its evil into good is a tzaddik. So just to go back to what we were saying in the previous chapter, that a person's world, a person's being is like a small city, and there's two kings, and each king in the small city is trying to get dominion over that small city. And what it means is that each king is trying to get all the organs and all the thoughts and all the speech and all the action to serve its agenda. So if you're the king who's connected to the animal soul, so then you're trying to get all the body parts and all the activities of the being to serve into that direction. If you're the other king, you're the godly soul, You're trying to get the thoughts, the speech, the action, and the body parts to follow in a service of the godly way. And this is an ongoing battle to get dominion over the city. That's what the Tanya primarily is talking about, this ongoing fight between these different impulses of the person, which in psychology, Freud came and said the id and the ego and the superego. But in Tanya, it's the animal soul and the godly soul fighting this battle. So if you're fighting the battle yourself, you should feel very human, and you shouldn't ever feel like you're a hypocrite, that if I'm a religious person and I do these mitzvahs and then I have these inclinations, or I manage to allow myself to slip into this way. You should know that the way you were created was for these two kings to be constantly battling within yourself. That's what Rivka found out when she was carrying twins, and she went to the yeshiva of Shem and Ava, and they said to her, you have two nations within you. So that was her experience, but that's our experience too. But now we're going to look at the tzaddik. He is somebody who, in terms of this battle, he's done very well with the battle, and he's vanquished his animal soul, and he's managed to transform its evil into good. But what they're going to talk about in this, not they, the Alter Rebbe, what the Alter Rebbe is going to talk about in this particular chapter is there's different kinds of tzaddikim. It's not just simply a tzaddik. There's the tzaddik, the perfect tzaddik, or what we call, here he says the tzaddik who knows only good, but in Hebrew we say the tzaddik v'tovlo. He's the one who's transformed all the evil of his animal soul to good, while he who has not completely eradicated and converted the animal within him is termed an imperfect tzaddik, or a tzaddik varalo, a tzaddik who knows or who still has some vestige of, when it says evil, it means, I would say, self-interest or not totally altruistic for the sake of avoda. It's called evil, but it's something that's still got a little clipper holding it back. The difference between the two sets of descriptive terms, a complete tzaddik and an incomplete tzaddik, and the tzaddik who knows only good, tzaddik v'tovlo, or who knows evil, tzaddik v'ralo, is as follows. The former set describes the degree of the tzaddik's love of Hashem, for it is this love that earns for him the title tzaddik. In the case of the complete tzaddik, it's a complete and perfect love, while the love of the incomplete tzaddik is imperfect. Now, all of these definitions and all of these gradations are pretty subtle, because we already know, and I think we maybe even said it earlier, that Rava thought he was a Benoni, which is even less than this. And Rava was an incredible gadol who never did anything wrong. So these are subtle labels, and I guess they're supposed to give us the idea that there's no limit to where we can aim for in terms of how refined we want our behavior to be. But the Tanya is going into very careful definitions of these different levels of service. So the one who says he's tzaddik v'tovlo is completely given over, that's because he has his love of Hashem is such that this love earns for him the title tzaddik, complete tzaddik. It's perfect love, while the love of the incomplete tzaddik is imperfect. What does it mean? The latter set of terms refers to the conversion of the animal soul's evil to good. An individual in whom it has been entirely transformed is termed a tzaddik who knows only good, whereas one in whom a vestige of evil remains is termed a tzaddik who knows evil. It goes without saying that evil in this context refers only to the promptings of evil that may be harbored in the heart, not, of course, to an actual evil expressed in thought, speech, or action. So this is kind of, like I said, it's subtle. It means that he's a tzaddik, right? He's still a tzaddik. It means he's not chas v'shalom doing anything that's not 100% kosher. But the level to which he's detesting negativity, or the level to which he's completely converted every inclination, is subtly different. So let's look into it. Now, before we go into the Tanya, we have to know, as we do from living in this world, that to be a good person, to live in the world, is a struggle. Just before we read about the tzaddikim and their subtle battles, we have to know that to be born into the world is to be born into a life of avoda, of service. Nobody comes here, nobody should come to, as they say, this here earth plane, expecting life to be easy. We are born for avoda. And what is the avoda? The avoda is that we should allow the radiant soul within us, the radiant, divine, godly soul within us to shine out and overwhelm the physicality of our own body, in a sense, and our own inclinations. That's why we were put into this world, for this struggle, so that the soul shines brighter and we start to attend to the soul more than to the demands of the body. But of course, like we've said a million times before, everybody has a body, and the body is present and makes demands and is very needy and is very loud. And it takes practice and work to refine ourselves such that we are not completely in the clutches of the animal soul, and we begin slowly to assert the godly soul over the animal soul. That's why we're here. So to whatever extent we can do it, yay for us. If you do it very, very, very well, then you get into tzaddik levels. Benoni, you have never succumbed in action to negative impulses, but they constantly being sort of suppressed. And then the Rashoim are people who don't manage to always hold themselves from improper thought, speech, or action. So it's supposed to be a struggle. That's why we're here. And let's look at this as a way of inspiring us to just respect the battle, because what else can we do? We're in a battle, and we've got to honor the journey. Okay. So when a person causes his divine soul to prevail over the animal soul, and when he wages war against the animal soul to the extent that he banishes and eradicates its evil from its place within him, which we already said is the left part of the heart, which was very interesting. Maybe I'll repeat why it is that way. As it says, and you shall eradicate the evil from your midst, which implies that one ought to eradicate this clipper, or the evil within himself. Okay. We said, by the way, for people who missed previous classes, that the soul, we managed to integrate this little sentence into understanding of the actual heart of a person, that the left ventricle of the heart, the left side of the heart, is the heart that pushes out the blood. And the blood goes out from that pump of the heart. It goes out, and that's the passions. That's the blood. That's the fire. That's the inclinations of, okay, we're going out into the body, and we want to do this, and we want to do this, and we got passions, we got inclinations. And so the left heart side of the heart is the animal soul. Then the blood goes on its path through the body, through life. And as it's going through life, it's experiencing things, some traumas, some wisdom, some shiurim, some experiences. And as the blood is going through the body, it's interacting with the brain and the nervous system. And so when it comes back into the right ventricle. And the Tanya says that's actually the place which is the side of the godly soul, because it's gone about its business and it's had experiences and it's now coming back, bringing back with it sort of information from its journey. And that's the side that is connected to the brain, and it's the right side that's the godly side, and the left side is the animal, the nefesh elok bahamias, and the right side is the nefesh elokis, which is kind of very interesting to think about this path from the left side of the heart, where it's passion, to the right side of the heart, which is sort of more informed and more available to the messages from the Chokhmah bin Adat, and in its journey through the body, messages and information from the nervous system, which is informing it all the time. It's like a feedback loop. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. We discussed that at great length. Jill, comment?
Just remember now a perception I had when you mentioned it the last time, that an experience I had when my father first passed away, that the godly soul is looking at the sum total of the life and seeing. So it's almost like the left ventricle sends out the journey for the life.
Right.
Yeah, it's on all scales, right?
It
But
sends out, but when it comes back, it's got more like seeing, more awareness, more information, more like it's a
it went through a
returning.
whole lifetime, in other words. It went through a whole lifetime, and the godly soul perceives this whole lifetime from the perspective of the godly soul, and it takes a measure of the actions and the this
Right.
is
So, in other words, there's the mini journey of every heartbeat, and then there's the maxi journey of a whole lifetime. That's very beautiful. Yes. Okay. So,
because
but the
by the
point
way,
is,
I could just ask, I'll add one more thing, which is that because it occurred to me that it's connected with Pirkei Avos when it says that is it say that all Kol Yisrael is tzaddikim? Is that the pasuk? I don't remember
mm,
now. The beginning. Does
yeah,
like
Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelek leolam haba shene'emar kulam tzadikim. Yes, I
so
think it says.
like
Yes.
the tzaddik mamish? Okay, we're not anywhere, but yet the battle is on the same road. So
Right.
maybe
Well, there's different ways that the word tzaddik is used. The way that the Tanya uses it is very specific. The way the Tanya uses it is very specific. It's because in general terms, a tzaddik is a little bit. Yeah, Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelik leolam haba shnema v'amech kulam tzadikim leolam. Yershu Eretz. They all righteous and they'll all inherit the land. Right.
in other words,
Um,
what it was that suddenly it occurred to me that it could be that, why do I know? But just had this flash of something that said that the tzaddik doesn't have any any ra on the level of thought, speech, or action, but yet has this like almost sublimated ra, the incomplete tzaddik.
well,
In other words, it's like thought, speech, and action, but not in the realm of the goof. It's in the realm of another level altogether.
we're going to talk about that exactly now, exactly what this is. That's what this chapter is all about. It's going to kind of try and talk to us exactly about these definitions. So it says, you shall eradicate the evil from your midst, which implies that one ought to eradicate this evil within themselves. The person who has in fact eradicated evil from his heart has not only banished the external practical expression of evil thoughts, words, or actions, but has even eradicated the evil itself. It has no place in his heart. He doesn't even want it. He doesn't have a desire for it. He doesn't have almost any relationship to it at all. And one who achieves this goal but finds that the evil has nevertheless not actually been converted into good, in which case his entire capacity for desire would now be directed only towards good and holiness, since with him this is not the case. He is called an incomplete tzaddik. So I think what it's going to say, because these are very, like I say, subtle definitions. I'm also curious, we have a Zoom user who's just identified as a Zoom user. I'd love to know who you are, who's joined us, a mysterious Zoom user participant. Oh,
I
who?
think it's me. I don't know why my name didn't come up.
Yes, who is that?
Kayla.
Kayla.
Kayla
Okay.
Moskowitz. Yeah.
Nice to have you on. Good. Okay, welcome. Okay.
Hi.
So we're going to talk about this. I think because I did read a little ahead over here. One of the tzaddikim, the one who's completely tzaddik v'tovlo, he has no relationship to evil at all. And in fact, he only knows good and he's energized by it and he hates and despises evil. He has no connection to it at all. And then, so that's the tzaddik, but the tzaddik v'ralo, the tzaddik who knows evil, there's some vestige of evil, which means he's not in a point where he absolutely abhors it or he's disgusted by it. He's not doing it, but the level of his repulsion is not as strong. His level of dismissing it is not as strong. When Chaim Miller gave an example of that, he said maybe like someone who is around someone else who smokes. You can't stand it. They're smoking and they're smoking in your space and you just feel like, oh my God, can they just get out of here, right? That's the tzaddik who really has a despising for evil. Whereas the tzaddik v'ralo, it's not as intense a repulsion and not as intense a dismissal and not as intense of a disgust. And also the way that they can turn around and sort of reinvest the energy is also a little different. The tzaddik v'tovlo, whatever that passion that might have been directed into negativity is so turned around that they get such pleasure from the good that they're doing. They're so invested, they're so bechayas, they're so energized. It's not just that they're not doing good, but they kind of fully, joyfully involved in the opposite, that also makes a distinction between the two. So the one that, let's say, we call him the tzaddik v'ralo, he may imagine that he has driven out this negativity, but it hasn't been turned around. It hasn't been converted. That's the real litmus test of when we've sufficiently done tshuva that an energy that was going somewhere negative, we didn't just stop it going to something negative. We've actually reinvested it and put it into something else with that same kind of energy, and it's gone a complete v'nahapuchu. It's completely overturned. It's completely reinvested, and it's completely energized, but for good, as opposed to a person who's just not doing that bad thing that they used to do or that they could do or that they had a thought to do. The complete tzaddik has taken that energy and reinvested it in a very passionate way for something good. So let's read it here. Perhaps the incomplete tzaddik feels no desire for evil because he indeed no longer has any evil, having converted it to good. Why must we say that he only imagines himself to be free of evil? So the Alter Rebbe is continuing to define these terms, And he says the complete tzaddik is able to convert his evil to good only because of his great love of Hashem, his great enthusiasm. He has so much, he's so enthusiastic for his love of wanting to serve Hashem. Accordingly, the incomplete tzaddik, the one who has yet to get to this love, has not gotten to this place. He's not gotten to this place where he's just loving. The Alter Rebbe says love of delights. It's not the English term. I mean, he didn't use the English term, but that's the translation. Then this is the ultimate criteria of where the tzaddik stands vis-a-vis the eradication of his evil. So to be a tzaddik for tov lo, you have to be so enthusiastic in your turning the energy to good, number one, and despising the negativity with a passion. You're a more passionate tzaddik, passionately against the negativity and passionately embracing the positivity. That makes you a tzaddik for tov lo. He's completely removed any of his garments, his thought, his speech for action, and he despises utterly the pleasures of this world, finding it repugnant to derive from them the pleasure which other people derive, namely the pleasure of merely gratifying the physical appetite instead of using this pleasure towards the service of Hashem. So this is a little tricky because we're talking about a tzaddik and we're saying that he has no pleasure from this world, but we also know that there's a quote, I can't remember who said it where, but you're going to have to account for all the beautiful things in the world that you didn't take advantage of, and all the beautiful, thank yous, and we're supposed to serve Hashem b'simcha and whatever. So what does it mean he despises utterly the pleasures of the world? So my understanding of this is that his pleasures that are of no service, no higher purpose at all. And we've spoken about it a little bit. Let's just read this here. Physical pleasures dedicating to serve Hashem are in fact holy. The pleasure of enjoying the Shabbos with food and drink. It's not such a pleasure that is repugnant to the tzaddik, but pleasure for the sake of self-indulgence. So I think I remember teaching this before and saying that Shabbos is a great aid to us, because on Shabbos we gifted, and on Purim as well, by the way, and almost all of Adar has this quality too, but it culminates in Purim, that we're trying to enjoy the physical world without getting pulled down by the physical world. And so on a regular weekday, let's say not Purim, and even let's leave out Adar, if you're taking pleasure in physical things, there's a chance maybe that you're using those physical things not for a holy purpose. But on Shabbos, anything you eat is part of kavod Shabbos and joy of Shabbos. So your whole meal is kavod Shabbos, joy of Shabbos. Everything in Shabbos has that immediate elevator, that you're putting everything in the elevator and the elevator's going up. It's a elevating elevator. And because it's on Shabbos and you have your neshama yesera, you're very good. You know that it's all for a holy purpose. But what kind of thing could a person think of during the week that's not to give them strength to daven? That's not to keep their body healthy. That's not because we eat for health. We can't not eat. And if we're eating for our health, there's no point in not enjoying the food. So it's a holy purpose to sustain the body. It's a holy purpose to eat well, healthfully. It's a holy purpose to, we said even to study and to go to university. Rabbi Friedman said, even if it's to earn a parnosa so you can pay your bills of Jewish tuition, that all becomes part of being elevated. What's not what can't be elevated, which moves into this thing of gratifying physical appetite only, which is not serving Hashem. And the kind of examples that came to me when I taught this before is if you eat something totally unhealthy, totally bad for you, and you're just eating it because it's giving you pleasure, and you know while you're eating it that it's bad for you, you know you're indulging, you know it's hurting you, you can't say this is for a holy purpose. It's just your lower self craving, and it's got no tachlis and it's got no good end. It's just because you're compelled. You're just eating from taiva. That's the kind of thing that can't be elevated, because it's not healthy for you, it's not feeding you, it's not nourishing you, it's just pure taiva. So that doesn't go in the elevator. So what would a tzaddik feel about that? He would despise such pleasure, for they are derived from and receive their spiritual sustenance from the klippa and the sitra achra, the very antithesis of holiness. The complete tzaddik utterly hates whatever is of the sitra achra. So like I said, he's very passionate in what he hates, and he's very passionate in what he loves.
Also, like, for instance, hating, let's say, what's the best restaurant in New York that people love? I mean, non-kosher, right? But they go there and have, the dinner and wearing tuxedos and the whole thing, and there's absolutely nothing but narishkeit when you look at it from the point of view of godliness.
Right.
They're absolutely empty, except for the fact that there's some kind of pleasure there. That's what I imagine to be the kind of pleasure that is despised, even though there's the function of it can be perceived.
Right. Well, I mean, we have techniques to prevent such a dinner like that. Let's say you have a group of Jewish people who go to, if the restaurant is kosher, right? If the restaurant is kosher, and Jewish people go to such a restaurant and they're loving the food and they're enjoying it, but it's because it's somebody's birthday, or it's somebody's bat mitzvah, dinner, or it's somebody's, it's an anniversary. And while they're eating, people say blessings, and while they're eating, they say a devout Torah. So then you have a meal that could be going down, but then we have these tricks to elevate it. We put consciousness in, we're doing it for the sake of achdus, we're doing it for the sake of family unity, we're doing it to honor a birthday or something. So that's also on Friday night Kiddush, we take a Kiddush cup and we elevate the consciousness, which kind of connects to these things, makes a huge difference. If it's just eating for the sake of eating, just to feed the animal soul, then you're 100% right. But that same restaurant could be serving a very holy group of people who's celebrating very holy thing, and they do it with consciousness and with blessings and with divrei Torah, then it's a different thing. Yeah? Okay, but now we're talking about the complete tzaddik. So the complete tzaddik is very high standards. If he feels that it's just for Gashmir's sake, he's not happy. He needs it to be elevated. And he has a great love as well to serve Hashem, and to serve holiness. And that's what makes him this tzaddik v'tov lo, because he's very passionate about not wanting things to serve the sitra achra. He's very passionate to love Hashem with a great passion. And so it says about David HaMelech, I hate them with a consuming hatred. Tachlit sina seneitim lo'evim hayuli chakreini v'da levavi v'gomer. They have become enemies to me. Search me, he says to Hashem, and know my heart. By searching me and knowing how great is the love of you born in my heart, you will know how great is my hatred towards your enemies. For as stated, Love is the measure of hate. So the Tanya is saying very clearly that when things are against Hashem, when things are not holy, when things are disgusting, we need to feel a repulsion for them in our heart. We can't just be, oh, it's kind of fine, it's okay. You love Hashem, then you hate what Hashem hates. You hate the klippa, you hate the sitra achra, you have a feeling about it. You're not neutral. According to the abundance of love towards Hashem, so is the extent of hatred towards the spiritual sitra achra, which nurtures the physical pleasures and the utter repugnance of the evil of physical pleasures. It's a little complicated for me because I always feel that Hasidus, and especially the Hasidus that is now pre-messianic reveal, what's it, the messianic revelation of Mashiach, when the Alter Rebbe wrote these words, I feel like the teachings of Hasidus have changed a little bit in terms of time, because what the Rebbe Menachem Mendel has been taught us was that when it comes time for the time of Mashiach, the feminine, and there's the divine, the rise of the divine feminine and the elevation of the physical body, and the physical body will give instruction to the soul. And our relationship to the body is very different. It's gone through a transformation. In generations back and in generations previous, there was this despising of the body and despising of physical pleasure and despising of there was a very different relationship to the Gashmias. Now, there's a lot of teachings that are suggesting that, a lot of teachings that the idea of despising, and not being able to have any connection or pleasure from the physical world. I think it's a little bit different. I think it's the kavona with which things are enjoyed, and the kavona with which the subtleties of it, I think, are slightly different. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't think we're in this place of despising the body like we did before. We're more in a place of being sensitive and being tuning in and feeling the intuition of the body and understanding that, the body is holy. And I don't know if it's just so, I'm just putting that in brackets over here.
What I'm not understanding is, I think almost like the scrutiny, like if you want to go and have an ice cream and you're really having it for pleasure, because I mean, let's face it, we all love ice cream. So are you saying that we're not supposed to be enjoying it like that? I'm not, like, why does it have to be so scrutinized?
So I think, okay, first of all, thank you for asking that question, because
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Just like about pleasure, like is pleasure bad? Like, can you not enjoy anything? Like, is that the bad thing to enjoy something, even if it's just for the sake of enjoying the thing without any sort of higher,
exactly. Exactly. It's a very good question. And I'm really happy that you asked it. And in order to answer it, I have to go back a few chapters where we were saying that according to the Alter Rebbe, there's no neutral action. Every action is either going down to the Sitra Achra or it's going up to the Nefesh HaBehamias, and it's serving Hashem. So then Rabbi Friedman, and I heard it from him on his video, he said something very clear and it was very helpful. He said, it doesn't mean that every single thing we do, every food we put in our mouth, every action we take, every step we take, we have to say, I'm doing this for the sake of Hashem. I'm doing this for the sake of Hashem. I'm doing this for the sake of Hashem. A person could get OCD like that, become neurotic, get mentally ill. We don't really want you to live like that. What Rabbi Friedman said is, if in the context of a holy life, and your life is dedicated to serving Hashem, so all your food to keep yourself healthy is part of that commitment of living a healthy life. And if you, like he said, if you go to university and you learn a trade and you learn things and you're doing things and you have a job and that's to support your Jewish lifestyle, that's all kind of included. And it was very liberating for me to hear him say that, because otherwise you're listening to the Alter Rebbe and you think every little thing I put in my mouth, I have to think, now I'm doing this for the sake of Hashem. Now I'm doing this. Okay, so what is the Alter Rebbe talking about that we can relate to? So there are things in the world that serve just the animal soul. They're things that just serve the animal soul. If you are eating, let's just say, it might be better to save your ice cream for Shabbos. If you're eating your ice cream on Shabbos afternoon, it's Lekavod Shabbos, so that's very good. If you're eating your ice cream during the week, right, and you're having a special moment with your child and you're rewarding them, then that's chinuch. So then you're good on that also. If you having a Farbrengen and you serve ice cream at your Farbrengen, then you're good there too. Let's say you're just having an ice cream just because you feel like it. Well, you could say, I am having a beautiful moment in this. I'm eating this ice cream. I'm grateful to Hashem that I have this beautiful ice cream and I can have this beautiful moment. What the Tanya doesn't want you to do is just relate to the ice cream as just like, I got to just get that ice cream in my mouth. I'm just completely consumed with taiva for ice cream, and I don't have any broader consciousness.
I got it. Okay.
Meaning as long as it's like intentional, like as long as you do it with intention and you notice where it's coming from and that the
And
ice
making a
cream
bracha
really
on it
is
anyway will elevate
right.
it.
First of all, making a bracha on it anyway. You know, it's a big thing. It's a huge thing in Adar to be joyful. To have an ice cream and say, this is my being joyful in Adar, you know, but I think you're right. I think the element of being intentional, the element of, being aware of where it's coming from, of course, saying a bracha, but saying a bracha with intention. What the Tanya is trying to get us to do is to realize that you could live your whole life and you can even do all the mitzvahs of the Torah, and you could be a very unspiritual person because you're just eating to stuff your face, even at a Jewish wedding, even at a Shabbos table. You could just be blah, 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 and you could not be elevating yourself. Or you could understand that everything you do, you can be intentional about, and you can serve something higher. How do you serve something higher? With intentionality, with gratitude, with appreciation. But then they're the really evil things. They are the really evil things. What are the really evil things? Well, unfortunately, if anybody hasn't been living under a rock in the last few weeks, there's some really evil things out there that have become apparent, right? That people do. One should have intense despising for evil things because they're very evil. And how does that level of evil connect to a tzaddik? Can a tzaddik, like on what level is something that's evil for a tzaddik? I would say that something that can't be elevated, that if you have a desire for something and you can't find in any way that you could make this holy. I mean, I'm trying to think of examples. And
like what about like passion or lust, like that sort of thing that's like so human and like is very like is there no way to,
well,
is that just evil or is that because at the end of the day like
Well, let's just say that's a very good thing.
It's just
Let's
like a
say,
natural human,
right.
like,
But
like, is
but
that
so it's a good question. I would say that if you, a person who, um, if you're a person who's married and you've gone to mikveh and you having a physical desire for your partner, that's something that is godly, right? Especially if you're keeping Taras Mishpacha. I think that if you have lust for someone who's not available to you, like a married person who's not your married person, right? If a man is lusting after a woman who's not his wife, or a
Mhm.
woman is lusting after someone who's not her husband, then that is something that you can't, that's, you got to push that away. That's an animal lusting. You can't elevate that. There's nothing about that that you can elevate. But lust itself, the world can't function without lust. There has to be that energy of physical chemistry that drives us. We just have to put it in the right container. So if something's in the right container, it's good. If something's in the wrong container, it's not good at all. They try to
right?
get
So
rid of
that,
they try to get rid of lust. There was one
Mhm.
moment, I think it's mentioned in a midrash, they said no lust. And then none of the animals procreated. There were no eggs. There were no, we need lust in the world, but we just need it to be appropriate. And we also talked once before about demons. It was very interesting that Tanya, a couple chapters back, had talked about demons, talked about Jewish demons and Goyish demons. It was very interesting. What is a Jewish demon? Jewish demon is the inclination to be indulgent on kosher things. That's a Jewish demon. Too much regalach at the kiddush, or too much alcohol, or too much physicality that's not elevated. What's a goyish demon? It's desiring something that you have no place to desire. It's desiring something that's not inherent to your nature. And the Alter Rebbe said it's because it's a product of galut, where we get perverted and we want things that don't belong to us or have nothing to do with our essential self. That's a goyish demon. I thought that was very
Right,
interesting. So to lust for someone who's not appropriate for you or allowed for you, that's there's some part of you in exile. You shouldn't be lusting after someone who's married or someone who belongs to someone else. You shouldn't be doing that. But to lust for someone who's correct for you, that's appropriate. I hope
right,
that answers your
right.
question.
Like when you mentioned earlier, like about like translating passions into like good, like the tzaddik, like the way he takes his evil passions and like redirects them to God. Like how's that done? Or like what kind of example would you like? What do you
Well,
mean by taking up? Like how's that?
Well, the examples they all come from the Bolshevik stories. Like when we came into Neve, let's say some of us, we came from backgrounds that weren't Toradic, and then maybe there were girls who were singing on stage to mixed audiences or dancing on stage to mixed audiences, and then they become singers for Jewish audiences and sing songs of Torah and inspiration. So they were doing something that wasn't kosher at all, that belonged to their old life, but they take that same passion and put it and become like inspirational singer and entertaining from Jewish women and singing songs about Hashem, or become a dance teacher and are teaching from Jewish girls dance and putting on Sneers productions. So that's taking something and putting it and reinvesting that energy, but in a very positive way.
Right. But what about like traits that like are inherently not good? Like how is that
What what
switched to,
what's
let's
inherently
say,
not
say
good?
laziness or I don't know, like any sort of bad trait or energy. Like I don't know, greed, laziness, jealousy. I don't know. Like I'm saying anything really.
Well,
Like how, let's say if someone has,
every
right,
trait we were saying that all the traits, the animal soul has chokhmah bina dat, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, and it has all the midas, the animal soul. It has chesed, gevurah, it has all of the midas, but it's all for a purpose that's not for good, not for the highest, not for altruistic service of Hashem. And then the godly soul has all the midas, but they're for a godly purpose. So you said jealousy. It's good to be jealous for Hashem, the Jewish people. Hashem is a jealous God. He wants you to serve him. We can be jealous, we can be angry for the right thing. Laziness, it's hard to see redeeming qualities about laziness, but on Shabbos afternoon you can be lazy. You're allowed. You have a Shabbos nap. It's not, I guess all of these things is that the things aren't inherently good or bad. It's what you do with them and how you direct them. If you're lazy on
right,
a Shabbos afternoon, that's appropriate. If you're lazy all the time and it's getting in the way of your life, that's not so great.
right, right.
Okay. So let's see. So the tzaddik varalo. Okay, so let's just see here. Tzaddik, well, incomplete tzaddik, knows evil, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And let's just see where we're up to. Okay. And then, yeah, so let's just see here. So it's going to talk, the Tanya talks about different energies, different elements, talks about the element of fire, the element of water, the element of air, and the element of earth. So it says, for one tzaddik, this little remaining attachment to negativity in some way hasn't been completely transformed, may consist of the element of water. In another, the element could be something like fire. And this is a different kind of thing. And it's interesting to know, like, what is water and what is fire. So water is a cooling energy, like takes you more down into pleasure. It's maybe this, yeah. The water in Tanya is connected to pleasure, which is hard to explain why, but it's more connected to pleasure. And fire is more connected to passion, which is different. Passions are like what excites you, and the water is more like very sensual pleasures and physical pleasures in that way. So he said there's these different types. Okay, I think this is a little bit too complicated to go into now. This 1/60th, he's talking about 1/60th. And I don't know if I want to start doing this, but let's just see. I'll just say this thing about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai heard a voice come out and say, whichever of you before coming here have converted the darkness of the world to light and have transformed the bitter taste of the animal soul and evil inclination to sweetness, only those may enter. So this is a very, this is kind of like the conclusion of what we've been saying, that to just not do a negative thing is one level, but to then take something that's potentially negative and turn it around and turn it so much over that it actually becomes something positive and celebratory of Hashem, that's another whole level. So let's just see here what it says about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. What did it say about him? So let's see here. So let's see. Sorry. Where is it? Yeah, here. When Rabbi Chia wanted to ascend to the heavenly chamber of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he heard a voice break out and say, "Who among you has transformed darkness into light and bitter flavors into sweet ones before arriving here?" Rabbi Shimon, who by his own testimony was one of the elevated men, required others who wished to enter his spiritual abode to be of the same stature, to have completely transformed the animal soul. So what does this mean, to have completely transformed it? So sorry, I know that left you on a cliffhanger here. Okay, so I guess I won't be able to say anything more other than what I said, that there's one level of just don't go there. Like there's certain things, okay? Let's say the example that comes to my mind, I've used this example before, is don't go into a bar where there's drinking and unsneers behavior. Okay, so a person's on a level that he doesn't go into a bar and he's not going to go there where there's unsneers behavior and where it's not a positive environment. But then Melinda Ribner told a story of Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach on Purim, who went into, I think it was Club 94
Club
something.
54.
What? 94?
Studio 54.
Studios 54 on Purim.
Mm.
And he walked in there with his guitar, and at a certain moment he started telling the story of Purim, and he started getting the whole group of people in Studio 54 to sing Nigunim with him. And Melinda Ribner said her mind was blown because she couldn't imagine how they could have a holy moment in Studio 54, but they did, because Shlomo was serving Hashem with so much joy that any negativity in that place was completely turned around.
I bet even the non-Jews were participating.
And even the non-Jews were participating. So
By the way,
a place that could be, the den of the Sitra Achra, that's a person who has connected to holiness and a holy kavana walks in there and totally just is not affected by that, and not only not affected by the negativity, but turns it around completely so that it's a moment of great holiness and spirituality, and that the place is transformed. And that, I think, is a kind of an example of not just not doing something negative, but actually taking that energy and turning it around completely for the sake of positive.
just gonna put up a in. Someone sent me that Neshama Carlebach is singing in Suffern tomorrow night.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, at Zichron Shlomo, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's a good Adar activity to join.
I'm going to get off, but I want to wish you a very holy and happy birthday. She who blesses should be blessed, and who does everything for the community should be blessed. You do so much, and I wish you a very happy birthday.
Thank you so much, and refuah shalema to you. And
I'm feel better.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who joined. We didn't finish the whole chapter, but we can come back next week and just tie up the loose ends here of
Well, next
Tzaddik
week is
V'Ralo
Purim.
and Tzaddik V'Tovlo. Sorry?
Next week is Purim.
Next week is Purim,
Right.
so we won't come back next week. Next week, Purim night, we're going to have something called the Purim High Council over here, which is spending time channeling the energy of Esther Hamalka. The way she approached the king Achashverosh is a opportunity for all of us to approach Hashem. And Sarah Yehudit Schneider created a beautiful nusach for women to gather on Purim night to daven and to channel, try to bring down what she calls a or chadash, a new light of redemption and liberation. So we're going to be having that after, I think it's going to be at 9 o'clock, 9:15 on Monday night. So we'll put it on the Zoom. It will be the same link as tonight. And if you want to come in person, we would love to have you. If you need details, contact me after. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Do we
And
have to wear costumes?
I think it's good if you do. I think it's good if you do to get into this. Just to say one word about costumes, by the way, there's great power in Purim and dressing up. And if you think about energies or aspects in yourself you want to manifest more of, it's a good thing to dress up as that, to dress up as who you want to be more of. And that's a very nice kavana for what you dress up on as in Purim. Anyway,
I
okay.
never thought of it like
So,
that. Okay.
yes.
Sounds interesting, actually. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
All
Nice
right.
to have you, Kayla. Come back.
Yes.
Okay.
I
All
try,
right.
doesn't
Thank
always
you
work,
very
but yeah,
much.
Yeah.
happy was
All
nice.
the best, Saiga.
So
Thank
long,
you.
everybody. Good
Bye-bye.
night. Be careful.
Good
Be safe.
night.
Good night.
Yes. Drive well if you're driving. Drive carefully.
Okay. Bye. Excuse me.